Hello, 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 hello. I'm Josephine, your book bae, coming on with a quick review today. And I hope this video finds you well. I hope you are staying safe during these tornado watches that we are under here. I think here in the South and maybe some other states. I don't know. Anyway, I'm no weatherman. But anyway, I hope everyone is staying safe. So I was coming on because initially at the beginning of the year, I started off with Invisible Man. And y'all, it is such a good book. I have not finished the book. I did not realize that this was a 581 page book when I began it. So I am halfway through the book, but I have not completed the book. And it is still very good, sometimes a little heavy. But what the Invisible Man is going through in this book on his journey as a young man is very relatable. I say that because I think many of us start out on this path in life after high school, navigating or trying to figure out what's next for us. And many times initially, the path we decide to go forward with is the path that our families have told us is the right way for us. And the same path doesn't work for everyone. And I think that's kind of where he is on his journey now in the book. And I thought this was a really profound statement or question he asked himself. What and how much had I lost by trying to do only what was expected of me instead of what I myself had wished to do? What a waste. What a senseless waste. Now, I disagree with it being a waste, but I do think that that is a honest assessment and a great question that many of us run into years later, either during college or after college, or when we're in new work environments after we've gotten our degrees. We wonder, especially if we end up somewhere where we're not being filled, we don't feel fulfilled or happy, or it's just draining us. I think many people come to this conclusion of, how did I get so far down this path and get lost? But anyway, I will continue to keep you guys abreast of what's going on with the book. It's super good. Some parts are a little heavier than others, but as Robert Frost said in his book or his poem, two roads diverged and I have taken the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And I think that is where the Invisible Man is at this point in this book, is what have I been doing with my life? Why have I been doing certain things? And how do I get on the path I desire to be on? I think another great topic on here or in here in the book is when he mentions the heaviness of having to carry the so-called torch, or the heaviness of having to disappoint your family, or your parents that have invested so much money into It kind of reminded me of Michelle Obama when she became a lawyer and she discovered, oh my gosh, I think I may actually hate what I'm doing here. And she says her mom tells her that she doesn't have the luxury of hating the job and leaving it. Like the advice her mom gave her when she came to her with her doubts was just kind of like, suck it up and do it. You have a degree, you make good money, you're doing all right for yourself, you have made it. And so that's what Michelle Obama did for a while. She sucked it up and she stayed with it. And I guess the more and more and more she did it, she realized the more and more and more she didn't really want to do it. So she had to reevaluate a lot of things in the long run and decide if she could keep up that facade or keep showing up in that way. And let's be honest, these things, even though it may just be work related or in a certain part of our life, it starts to impact every aspect of our lives because we become resentful of certain things and people and just the life we have chosen based on what other people feel like we should be doing. But yes, great book, sometimes a little heavy, but so good. And I can't wait to give you guys my final thoughts after I complete Ralph Allison's book, which is also, I learned, a banned book. Didn't know that. But yeah. So the next one, a love song for Ricky Wilde. You can catch my video with more details on this book, but I did finish it up. It is so amazing. It is definitely some fantasy maybe in it. I think they called it magical realism. Definitely in here. It is a love story about a young woman that, similar to the Invisible Man, is out on a path trying to discover who she is, what she desires, and live a life outside of the box that her parents desire her to live within. And she really shows them in this book. I mean, I couldn't help but just smile during the book when she, not only did she find the career that she loved and that she was amazing at doing, she also found the love that she thought she would never have, and she had it on her own terms. And her idea of success looked so different from her parents. And she was brave enough to move far away and believe in herself and invest in herself and say, although my family is wealthy and this is how it has been done by my siblings before me, and everyone has followed the blueprint and done quite well, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to follow my own blueprint and win. And she did, and I loved it. And if you are in the mood for something that is high energy, beautiful, a throwback as well to the times of Harlem, a magical love story, this is it. Check it out. I mean, I think something I just loved about it, one part I think about is that she had never experienced a love, she said, before this particular guy that she got with. What was his name? Let me see if I see his name in here. I'm trying to remember his name because he had a nickname. Ezra, something like that. Let me share this little part with you that I thought was really good, because in this book she's out on her path, but she decides to become, her family is in the funeral business, but she gets into the florist business, which is really a creative business. But she was someone that was really breaking barriers. And what I loved also in this book is how Ezra, who was her man, was so supportive of her and encouraging. And when I tell you he hyped her up, you know, like, who, we all love a good hype man. We all love to have a partner that's in our corner and super supportive and that's trying to learn and grow as we try to learn and grow ourselves. And they also are investing in us, whether it's with likes or follows or sharing what you do with others. Like, Ezra was definitely the bomb.com in the book. And so I love this in the book when it says here, Blackness itself isn't limiting, it's limitless. And then they recommended a book, which I really want to get, called Black Flora by Teresa Spite, which I thought was really good. But this is what she shared during her interview. And then another part of it where Ricky said was, there is no correlation between our value and white people buying in. Fuck yes. And I loved that quote that she gave to the reporter, because I think sometimes society, if you watch the news or just people in general, they will make you feel like if it's only your culture that likes something, then it holds a different value, or that it's valueless. And we all know that is absolutely not true. Just because someone else thinks something is invaluable doesn't make it invaluable. We all have things that we prefer or like. And so just like anything, different things have different values to different people. But it doesn't make it valuable just because someone of another race puts a stamp on it. Or it doesn't. It doesn't make it any less valuable. So I thought that was a great quote that Ricky gave to the reporter, because I think some people do feel that way. They feel like if a certain race doesn't like it, or if it's not being approved upon by certain people, then they try to limit the value. And we all know that's absolutely not true. Okay. Check it out. I did another review on that one. Loved it, completed it. Pick it up and read it. It's thundering outside. Okay, the next book that I am reading, there's two books I got just recently. I like to read when I read a heavy book, I like to have a light book also to kind of balance it out. So since I'm still reading my heavy book, Invisible Man, I'm now picking up my light book, and it's called The Problem with Falling by Brittany Cherry. Now, this is my first book by Brittany Cherry. I've heard some amazing things about this author, but I've never read any of her books, and this is the first one. But it sounded really good, and it came out this year, so I wanted to check her out and patronize her. And so far, I am really enjoying the book. Now, I'm only on page 71. This one has like 316 pages, so it should be a rather quick read. But let me tell you the synopsis. Let me read it to you on the back of the book. Willow Kingsley is everything I don't need in my life. She's sunshine and chaos dressed in a flower crown. She's a wildflower in a world I've spent years trying to keep simple and quiet. She talks too much, smiles too easily, and doesn't understand the meaning of personal space. Worst of all, she's staying in my house for the summer, turning my carefully guarded world upside down. I know I should keep my distance. People like her don't stay, and I've had my fill of being left behind. But the more time I spend with her, the harder it is to remember why I built these walls in the first place. She's getting under my skin, into my heart, and making me want things I've spent years trying to avoid. Falling for Willow would be a mistake. She's a free bird, and I'm the anchor she's desperate to escape. But every time she looks at me, I can't help but wonder, what if she's not the one who's meant to fly? What if this time I'm meant to soar? And I just loved that synopsis when I read it. And then I got into it and started reading the book, and it was so good. And this perspective on the back is actually based on Theo's perspective. Theo and Willow are a couple of the main characters, and Theo was raised by his grandparents, but unfortunately he was abandoned by his mother, and his grandparents ended up stepping in and raising him. And so he's lived a life feeling probably abandoned because of how his mother left him. And when she left him, she was very honest and upfront. She told her parents she couldn't do it, and she even told him, and he was of age. I think he was, I can't remember what age. Was he 8, 9? Anyway, he was big enough to remember. We all know that kids can remember things from a very young age. I remember things from like 3 and 4, which is so wild. I can't remember everything, but I remember certain things. And normally it's the things that hurt. And so she says that she can't do this anymore. She doesn't want to raise him. She can't stand him. She doesn't like him. She doesn't love him. And he even says that she treats him that way. And she said after having him, everything just went everything went downhill for her, she says. And so she runs off with this man on a motorcycle when he's a kid. And she also says that the only reason why she had him was because a man forced himself on her, and that she wished she had had an abortion. That's it. I'm not giving anything else away. When she said that to him in front of her parents, I remember her dad told her to be quiet. Her mom told her that she didn't mean it. That's why you have to be so careful about who you have children with. You have to be so careful about getting the help you need when you need it. This young man who has been raised by his grandparents now has this huge wall up. He's in his 30s now in the book, and he has never loved. He has never even allowed himself to be loved. And I think the time he did, a young woman effed him over, you know? So, really good book. A page turner, a delight. Is, you know, it's an easy read, but I loved it from the synopsis when I saw it, and I saw that Willow was a free bird, because I can so visually see her. In fact, sometimes I think, okay, that Willow is kind of like a me. I feel like I'm a free spirit in some ways. But yes, I will come back and give you guys an update once I complete the book. I'm sure I will complete it soon. I've just been cleaning up today, so I haven't had a chance to read this Saturday. So yeah, it's really good. The Problem with Falling by Brittany Cherry. And then the last one that I picked up, I haven't seen anybody talk about it, except for one person. And shout out to Chocolate Covered Pages. I love her channel. And she mentioned this book, Fearless and Free, a memoir by Josephine Baker. And I don't know why, I've just always liked her as a kid. Like, I remember her, they had a movie come out, part 1 and 2, on regular TV. I think when I was a kid or a little older that I watched. I also visited Paris, and I know that's where she went and, you know, moved to. But I think maybe because it's her name is part of my name, Josephine, Josetta. Yeah, I really wanted to read her story. And the one I think I saw years ago was only in French, which I don't speak French. I took Spanish in high school. So I was excited to see this. And it says, the artist in her own words, Josephine Baker is as enthralling on the page as she was on the stage. New York Times best-selling author Abbott Collier. So let me just read a couple of things here on the back that they're saying about it. It says, in Fearless and Free, Josephine Baker, groundbreaking performer, audacious spy, and unflinching civil rights activist, shares intimate details of her life and times, proving she's as enthralling on the page as she was on the stage. This gorgeous, captivating gem of a memoir will both introduce Baker to a new generation of readers and cement her legacy as an enduring international icon. I love that. Fearless and Free is a remarkable story of a remarkable woman. Reading Josephine Baker's life in her own words is like having the world's greatest tour guide to pivotal movements in history. The book allowed me to see the Roaring Twenties, World War II, and the Civil Rights Movement with fresh eyes. It is everything you hope a memoir could be. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read it. Fearless and Free, like even the words, like, it feels, those words even feel good. Fearless, free. Just think about somebody that's courageous. So let me give you the synopsis here. I know everybody doesn't like the synopsis, but I always read synopsis. That's how I know if I'm wasting my time by getting the book. I don't get a book if I don't like the synopsis. But anyway, let me get into it. Okay, so published in the U.S. for the first time, Fearless and Free is the memoir of the fabulous, rule-breaking, one-of-a-kind Josephine Baker, the iconic dancer, singer, spy, and civil rights activist. After stealing the spotlight as a teenage Broadway performer during the height of the Harlem Renaissance, there's that theme again, the Harlem Renaissance, Josephine then took Paris by storm, dazzling audiences across the Roaring Twenties. In her famous banana skirt, she enraptured royalty and countless fans, Ernest Hemingway and Pablo Picasso among them. She strolled the streets of Paris with her pet cheetah, who wore a diamond collar. With her signature flapper, bob, and enthralling dance moves, She was one of the most recognizable women in the world. When World War II broke out, Josephine became a decorated spy for the French resistance. Her celebrity worked as her cover, as she hid spies in her entourage and secret messages in her costumes when she traveled. She later joined the civil rights movement in the U.S., boycotting segregated concert venues and speaking at the March on Washington alongside Martin Luther King Jr. First published in France in 1949, her memoir will now finally be published in English. At last, we can hear Josephine in her own voice, charming, passionate, and brave. Her words are thrilling and intimate, like she's talking with her friends over after show drinks in her dressing room. Through her own telling, we come to know a woman who danced to the top of the world and left her unforgettable mark on it. So Josephine Baker, she was born in 1906 and she passed away in 1975. She's the first Black woman to star in a major motion picture, which I did not realize that. Wow. I thought Dorothy Dandruff. I guess maybe she wasn't. Okay. Yeah, I did not realize she marched along with Martin Luther King Jr., MLK. Wow. Yeah, I'm excited to read this. I mean, she's so beautiful. She's so talented. She's so courageous. And she's one of our own. And you know what? The crazy part is this is Women's International Histories Month. Or is it Women's Histories Month? Anyway, we honoring women. But, you know, we honor women every day, not just in the month of March. So, yes, this is one to pick up if you love a good memoir. I think this is going to be amazing. I mean, I loved her. If you ever seen her movie before that came on TV, they had a part 1 and part 2. It was really good, but it's so much more about her that I didn't even know about. I just loved her dancing and her singing and her, you know, all that type of stuff. So I'm excited to get into this, and she's so beautiful, and the cover is beautiful and elegant. I love it. So anyway, that is it for today. Hope to see you guys again soon and catch up. I'm thinking about doing a newbie tag since I'm revamping my channel and turn it to more of a book channel and not into my coaching anymore. So I might try to do that pretty soon. But anyway, have an amazing Saturday. Stay safe. I'm wishing nothing but inner peace, positivity, and empowerment in your life. Take care. Have a great one. Bye-bye.